Beep, 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 beep. Happy hump day, hamsters. How's everybody doing? It's just old Hot Ham Radio here. Driving around in my hoopty. I just wanted to reflect on some of the amazing videos that have been coming out recently and creators. Okay. First of all, Tabitha Jane is absolutely brilliant. I don't know who this woman is, but I feel like I'm in college again, but in like my favorite class. It is so interesting to listen to what she has to say. If you haven't already, go over and listen to her. She's fantastic, and she's hilarious. Man, also, Bonita Barbie did a video yesterday that was so perfect in my opinion. She just put it all out there perfectly, very, succinctly, but with all of the facts to back up her argument. She was very, very good about saying, this is just her theory, her opinion. So go listen to that. It's a really great video, and it gives you a lot of food for thought. And I think her theory makes a lot of sense. My whole thing right now is I like to talk about this case because my theory is constantly evolving, and I go back and forth all the time because I learn things every day. But my main thing is I want to figure out what is the most likely theory? What is the most likely scenario? Because the one that we've been fed, in my opinion, makes zero sense. Just 0 cents. Both, because I just can't. I don't see it at all. But Bonita's theory, it's tipping the scales, in my opinion. It's making more sense. So I'm going to be thinking about that one for a while. But also, I want to talk a little bit about mental health with this case. Because it's a really strange thing. Has anyone noticed that Shanann, despite constantly posting publicly about physical ailments for both herself and her children, there's never any mention of any kind of mental illness or even just generally, like, okay, if she does mention depression or anxiety or something, that's to self-thrive, which is pretty funny. I mean, I think we can all see through that, because it's like, yeah, if I'm hopped up on speed, I'm probably not going to be feeling depressed at that moment. I'm probably going to be like, really, really productive, running around, and then that makes me feel good about myself, I guess, that day. But it in no way treats depression or anxiety. I would believe it would potentially make that worse, maybe. And I get it. People have a right to keep their information private, of course. But for someone who overshares to the level of offending people, I think it's very interesting that piece is missing from her posts. And I also thought about her mom. Because even in the videos her mom has done, which are very heartbreaking. The few, I think she did a couple on her cooking channel that she talks about her grandkids and her daughter. But she also talks a lot about like her childhood and these like ailments and someone having cancer or chemo for 12 years or something like that. I don't know. It was a lot of physical stuff, which adds up. Like mother, like daughter, which she says. But I don't know. I get the sense, this is my opinion based off what I've seen, what I've heard. I get the sense that mental health was not widely discussed in this family because it was considered not a true ailment. Like, if she's going to be looking for sympathy or attention, Shanann, by posting about ailments on Facebook, in her mind it has to be something physical to prove it, kind of. Because, surprise, surprise, so many people in this country and in this culture, in our society in general, they still don't even think about mental health as being an actual ailment or an actual huge health concern. And I grew up in a pretty traditional Catholic family too. And I did have, there still is quite a bit of stigma to like bringing up that you're depressed or bringing up any potential, like maybe this is what I have, maybe this is my issue, maybe this is my issue. There's always sort of a slight, there's never any discouragement about it, but there's a slight hint that, oh, well, you know what, you can just get over that. You can just deal with it, bootstraps. Or like for anxiety. Ooh, has anybody with anxiety ever had someone tell them to just relax? Because, that's like my number one trigger. Just relax. Just try to relax. Just like calm down. Well, now you made my blood pressure go through the roof, so that's not happening. And I don't know. Do you remember when, I know this isn't really necessarily considered like mental health, but the mentions we hear from Shanann in her texts, remember about Chris initially not wanting to go to therapy, like to couples counseling? I think she said something like, he refused to go to couples counseling because he doesn't want some guy on a couch telling him how he feels or something like that. What if that was actually her opinion about going to see a mental health practitioner? And it was just such a part of her psyche that she just said that, like, oh, everyone feels like that. And I remember when her ex-husband, old Leonard, mentioned that she seemed not interested when they went to couples counseling. That was interesting. Because I see a lot of issues with her that don't necessarily seem physical. I mean, listen to the Lindstrom's interview. That'll tell you everything that I'm thinking. And those were people that knew her pretty well. Pretty wild. It's crazy that I feel like a lot of the fear that is going on YouTube over this case is just stemming from this same reluctance to address mental health. Like, come on, people. You're not weak if you have any kind of mental health issue. We all have a mental health issue, I'm sure. Something. We all need to take care of ourselves mentally. And it's good to acknowledge, perhaps, if there's like family traits that are inherited, which they definitely are. I don't know. So I see some very big mental issues with Shanann. And, oh my goodness, speaking of creators, go watch Neek's Peaks. I'm sure everybody has, but there's a whole other can of worms in the mental health department. So I think about that, and then I think about old Crist'Fer. Is it Crist'Fer or Crist'Fer? I'm not sure where the apostrophe was supposed to go, but anyways, another great creator that I was listening to this week is A Curious Rose. She did this fantastic 3-night read-through of that lady, Kathleen. Her book, I think it's called Blood and Marriage or something like that. But just look at A Curious Rose's videos and you'll see she does these 3 long lives where she reads Kathleen's book, and it is fascinating. Really interesting book. Not saying I agree with everything in the book at all. A lot of it actually had some stuff that was debunked later, you know. But it was a really interesting book. Also, I have to say this. In the second video of her read-through, an hour and 30 minutes in, she starts reading chapter 9, which is a play-by-play description this author writes of Shanann and Chris's wedding. I have to say, it is among the funniest things I have ever heard in my entire life. I was crying. So, if you ever need a moment of levity with this case, please listen to that, because you will die. I mean, you will die of laughter. I'm not trying to use death language. But yeah, in that book, something she mentions, and so there's the assumption, a lot of the stuff that Kathleen writes, this is from Cindy's perspective, supposedly. And they are no longer friends. There was a falling out, but this woman did still write the book. So we can assume that a lot of the information that she's writing is factual based on what Cindy has told her. Again, not set in stone, I'm not sure. But there's this one part where they talk about, I don't know if it was when he was being transferred to Dodge Correctional, but they told Cindy, so Chris was supposedly evaluated, actually, at the prison by some sort of social worker. I never knew that. I've always had trouble. I've always been like, what the hell, people? Get this man evaluated. You got a family annihilator. Don't you want to know what's wrong with him? Isn't that the point? You know, why the hell did all of us taxpayers have to pay for old Tammy Lee and, you know, the other guy to go all the way to Wisconsin just to ask Chris why he's such a special person? What? And why was it taped and recorded and put on YouTube? Why? Is that supposed to be an evaluation? Because it's not. But this woman, Kathleen, wrote that he did have an evaluation. And incredibly, the person that evaluated him told Chris's family that they saw no signs of psychopathy, narcissistic personality disorder, a few others. The person said, quote, It was just a perfect storm. Now that is some wonderful mental health care right there. What a great job we are doing, people. I just applaud you. Wonderful, magnificent work. So isn't that weird? So he has no documented evidence of any kind of mental disorders that would cause him to annihilate his family. Well, no wonder this doesn't make any sense to any of us. So going back to what I was saying about what is the most likely situation, what is the most likely narrative, this just feeds right into it. This just feeds right into why it's so hard to believe that this guy did this. I mean, even though he's an idiot, you got to be some kind of idiot. I don't know. Is that a diagnosis? Idiot? I just think Bonita's theory is far more likely, in my opinion. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna go back to work now, but I'm thinking about maybe trying to go live this afternoon because I'm getting out early, and I have like an hour and a half of the house to myself for some me time. I'm so excited for my me time. So since I am so freaking ADD, and yes, I am literally diagnosed with it, obviously, it's really hard I feel like I'm so scattered when I talk on these videos. It's fun for me, but it's probably not as fun for you guys. So I was thinking it might be kind of fun just to try and go live, and then I can blab all my nonsense out. So that might be fun. If I don't, I don't. If I can't figure it out, I'll figure it out another day. But anyways, my dear hamsters, enjoy the rest of your hump day. Hopefully I'll see you in a few hours if you're around. If you would like to continue listening to me blather. I'm just a blathering blowhard. No, I'm not a blowhard, I don't think. But I am a blatherer. Okay, anyways, I'm going to stop. Stop rambling. I'm going back to work. Have a lovely day. Thank you for listening. Beep, 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 beep.